Well, welcome everybody to our latest version of our Tech Titans interview series. These are absolutely some of my favorite conversations that I have throughout the year. And I'm excited to have with us today Les McGehee. He is the CEO and founder of Rialto Academy. And he's going to tell us all about what he's done here. And, with Tech Titans, what we try to find are those people that are really doing something interesting and unique and powerful and very relevant for our industry. And Les has done that, and he's sort of focused on the education and training part of our industry. So, welcome, Les. Great to see you.
Hi, it's great to be here, Marilyn. Thank you very much for inviting me to this conversation. We need to have more conversations like this to help steering education in its future direction.
Exactly. So, why don't you just give us a short little background on, where you came from, how you got here, and what inspired you to create Rialto Academy?
All right. Uh, I was inspired to co-found Rialto Academy. It began by getting in trouble in school for having an overactive imagination. I believe nowadays, as grown-ups, we would prefer to call that vision and entrepreneurism and some other words like that. Yet I was just a little bored and had funny siblings who suggested things to me. I ended up in a life of comedy, and in my interviews as a comedian, one way I used to describe it is folks would say, I guess you were the class clown in school coming up with all those ideas. And I would explain, actually, a quote from Billy Crystal. I'd say, no, see, the class clown was the fellow who like ran across the homecoming field naked, screaming or something at homecoming, right?
Right.
It was the class comedian who had pulled him aside a couple of hours earlier and said, hey, you know what might be really funny?
You're the trouble. You're
I
the pot
was
stirrer.
I was a classic comedian, and I went into that kind of work. And in comedy, as a comedy actor and a comedian, agility as an entrepreneur was a very interesting thing. My family has a history of successful entrepreneurs of artistic disciplines, and it all made sense to me. So I expected to make a living. I had friends who ran bands, who their band members were on salaries. So I did decades of comedy business. And one of the things that we were asked to do many times is explain how we did what we did. And a graduate school of business, I got graduate school of business did a study on me. Macomb School of Business at the
Wow.
University of Texas. They did a 3-year study on applying our improvisational comedy strategies to business training and soft skills. I'm not
Love
sure
it.
that's my favorite thing for them to have called it. Yet it was a beautiful study, and it led to my first book, Plays Well with Others. Oh, look out, look out. Second edition of that's coming out. You can't see it right there yet. We'll put a link or whatever. And
Okay.
the and so right away, my literature from that study and from all the exercises and training techniques that I'd built for these hundreds of comedians, we won number one in the world in improv comedy as a performance team. There are organizations for such things. This is the
Yeah.
first number one thing like that we won. We won subsequent ones. But so we were very friendly with helping other people understand how to do things better and how to get more performance. And to us, that was education. And we were
Got it.
immensely curious. So as 60 industries invited me in, I got to learn things about 60 different industries. I got this major education in addition to my traditional education. And when I saw the realtor situation, I was kind of hooked, Maryland, because I'm like, oh, this is like the poster child for American entrepreneurism or North American entrepreneurism. And
Right.
they study a lot. I can get results fast. And so Jonathan, my co-founder, and I, Jonathan Murby, we looked at that and we were asked to rewrite a library of training for one of the largest real estate companies in the world. And as we did that and we got results in months, not years, we said, oh, look how much ground we can cover helping entrepreneurs if we do it through realtors. And that was how it began right there.
I love it. So when you did that, that's a great background, and seeing you probably learned from something from every single industry you looked at. What gaps did you see in how agents, brokers, and MLS, practitioners were being educated and supported?
The big gap in professional education tends to be where do they see it from? If they see it from meeting the members, where the members have needs and desires and can ignite, really great outcomes and whatnot. If you
Yeah.
see it from that, that North Star draws people to a particular set of decision making, right? If you see it as compliance and there's no reason to change it if it's not broken, and
Right.
say 10 or 20 years goes by, then I'm not sure we're still calling it education. I guess we're calling it something else. And I was even part of a hearing once on the topic, and it was when my chain of comedy clubs that I had was putting in a comedy defensive driving outfit, and our program was really good, and it expanded to Florida. And somebody accused us of breaking the law because we had a funny class for defensive driving. So we had to go to a hearing, and they asked us if we thought it was okay that our education was humorous. Now we don't focus on humorous education now, Marilyn, yet it
Hmm.
did start this conversation we had over, well, if it's punishment, we have some suggestions. Yet, if it's not punishment, we think people will learn more if we do things in a memorable manner with energy,
Yeah, for sure.
positivity, real
Make it
direction.
more
So
fun. Yeah, we hear a
there's
lot that agents want education that's much more practical too, that it's tied to
right,
when I
right.
when I see the title, I know that it's going to help me be better at some part of the sales process. It's not just there for the sake of it being there. It's going to have a direct benefit in my daily life and my daily practitioners,
Yeah, the only
my
thing bigger
operating.
than our responsibility with that, Marilyn, to do exactly what you said, that this will make you better off. This is
Yeah.
valuable education for you. The only thing bigger than that is every implication we're making about our own industry every step of the way. We're
Hmm.
people that build dialogues like crazy about our value proposition and things like that. Is that the dialogue of people that are merely compliant?
Yeah, no, not
Compliance
absolutely.
isn't quite an opportunity. The only thing bigger than the responsibility is probably the opportunity. We got 1.5 million entrepreneurs who, given the right education, really stand a chance of their little universe of people doing well, right? That's a big opportunity for return on investment and certainly for doing the right thing.
So tell us about, it's, we heard about your background. It's not really comedy education, but what is Rialto Academy at its core, and who's it built to serve? Well, let me ask two questions. Who is it distributed through, and who is it built to serve?
We are primarily serving associations of realtors
Okay.
and MLS organizations. Some of
Okay.
the big companies still ask us for things. Some of the big brokerages still like to work with us, and we're really happy to do that. Yet we're tightly focused on associations and MLSs. We have about 500,000 realtor members through those organizations, and we'll grow by another couple of 100,000 this year. Rialto is an education services company that does strategic education in the professional education realm, primarily for realtors through these types of organizations. And what
Okay.
we do is we've developed these education strategies and systems and technology, this entire ecosystem of stuff that increases revenue opportunities, increases service and quality of education, brings it to the front of the modern level of expectation,
Hmm.
and reduces labor at the same time. And so we bring more revenue to organizations, reduce their workload, and increase the services they give to their members. And the members express immense gratitude and achieve more. It's a very interesting space to be in. Yet also we
So,
have our challenges, as you know, Marilyn, because we were a little bit of a unicorn when we arrived with our concierge model.
well, so let's just go through a couple of scenarios, right? Because I'm sure the folks that'll be watching this will fall into one of these. So many associations and MLSs have, let's say, at least one of their own dedicated trainers on staff.
Right.
Um, does this work in addition to, does it work in combination with them? Like, so if I've created some of my own local content, and again, I have somebody that's dedicated to, doing things online and in person and broker offices and things like that. How does this work in addition to that scenario?
Well, the first thing we're going to do is a full assessment of the organization and its goals, kind of a
Okay.
gap analysis, strength,
Okay.
weakness, opportunity, threat, and gap. And we have a thorough way to look at that with real numbers in it. And then we start asking ourselves the question, what systems are serving them best, or what items do they love? Okay, because sometimes it's that simple. Their membership has great love habits for certain systems or habits. And so
Okay.
if that's the case, we do our best to, pardon me for the level of complication of technology I'm about to speak to, Marilyn, yet we
Hmm.
do our best to keep and grow the things they love and to replace everything they don't. And so we build it out
Okay.
like that. And we give them the full, to us, a full agile system has 5 modes of delivery, reports data directly through their technology, automates all the bulkiest tasks with high levels of accuracy. Uh, we're serving that education director. The person who signs our contracts is usually the executive or the chief operating officer, one of the C-level executives, usually the
Okay.
association executive. But we're serving that education director, and they were carrying a horrible burden around the country. And many still are, with paper and names and typing data in and out of systems, and the errors that go with such things, and the inability to expand or to modernize. And so you generously asked me earlier what Rialto does. I could describe it a different way, Marilyn. I like to say
Yeah.
that, the other thing that we're number one in the world at is we're number one at localized professional education. We were
Yeah, that was going to be my
alarmed.
next question. So,
Yeah.
and when you say Rialto Academy, are there Rialto trainers that feel like they're local, or is it the content is local and then the local trainers deliver it? How does that work together?
All of the above.
Okay.
Rialto has written on every topic 10 times, original content. We have all
Okay.
the best experts we can find from all around the country constantly. We're
Okay.
in instructor development mode constantly. We
Okay.
love local instructors. If at all
Hmm.
possible, we include
Hmm.
them. And then sometimes we build entire programs around them. Also, if one of our library pieces, with one of our rock star instructors nationally, like say Julia Lachey, or Marky Lemons Rye Hall, or Josh Cadillac, or someone like this, one of our great national speakers, or Memo Vargas, if we're doing one of our Spanish language classes, or one of those instructors, is
Okay.
even then, it would include a local interview, local branding, local assets. We were alarmed to see associations sending their training out of state and abandoning that dozen hours of engagement a year and all the revenue that goes with it, while talking
Okay.
about we have a revenue and engagement challenge. That looked a little humorous to us in a dark sense, if you will. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, we customize. We heavily believe that entrepreneur in real estate needs information about their organization, their market, their
Right.
square feet. We feel serious about that.
So if I'm understanding this correctly, you're sort of a national program that feels local, right? So it's not like you say, there's many that you can just you link out to a whole other system. And
Right.
the association doesn't have any branding, the MLS doesn't have any control over what's being delivered there. It's just you sort of hand off your customer and hope for the best. This is the national support of a national platform that's delivered locally and feels local, has your own local educators if you want them in it, as well as additional people. But everything that they're hearing, even from the national speakers, is going to sound like it's about their particular market. Did I get that right?
That's a really nice description. I
Okay.
appreciate that. Yeah, that's
Okay.
about right.
Okay.
And all the outlier questions that a lot of our audience here would be thinking, right? They all have this combination of unique things, and very often, Marilyn, they think those unique things are why they can't have a concierge service like this. When Massachusetts told us that they probably wouldn't be able to use this because they had needed unique content like the rules around marine-based lead paint. Marine lead-based paint is
Understood.
what it was. Also, Oklahoma is talking about a seismic course. And so very often these people think that their authenticity or their uniqueness is a challenge, whereas we look at it and we go, there you go. That's further evidence that you need localized education. Where are they supposed to get that knowledge? Right? Let's give your
Right. So
realtors
you
what.
work with them then to learn what the unique elements are that has to be taught, and then one of your instructors will build a class to teach it?
Absolutely. And
Oh
of
my
course
God.
we have a full library to draw on. We have every year a fresh code of ethics, every year every iteration of fresh fair housing, best speakers
Mhm.
in the country. So all those are taken care of. Yeah, we love creative solutions that uniquely help in localized deployment. That's for sure.
Okay, so one of the things that we've seen as on the Wave Group side of our consulting firm is when we do a lot of member satisfaction surveys to associations and into MLSs as well. And normally we see anywhere from 40 to 50% of their customers, sometimes more, have not engaged with education within their company in the last 12 months. Um, and so what have you learned about, well, I guess I'm going to ask two questions. Let's start with the first one is what's the secret to helping every one of your practitioners? Because of course they all have different backgrounds. Some are part-time, some are full-time, some are with large brokerages that have a lot of training, some are with small that don't have much of anything. Like it's a whole spectrum, right? What lessons have you learned that associations and MLSs can learn from about how to get some way to attract, ideally every one of your customers into education at some point?
Well, I think, to try and describe it as one thing, Marilyn, I think it's addressing them where they are,
Mhm.
addressing their situation, kind of the strategic version of being an extremely good listener who cares, let's say.
Right.
So, do
Okay.
we understand their situation well enough that we're investing in those things? And is it a feedback loop? I used the word ecosystem earlier. My partner
Right.
Jonathan Murby, he likes to use that phrase a lot. And
Mhm.
does it the entire thing nurture and feed itself over time, right? Educated, successful members with real value in their education, not just compliance, right? Real value.
Right. Yes.
Generous and respectful level of production, for goodness sake.
Hmm.
Marilyn, I think of that personal. I call it Sally Broker. Pardon my dumb example, but I call it Sally Broker. I picture Sally Broker, is doing 100 million a year or something with her 15 agents, let's say. Okay.
Right.
And she's thinking, well, I have big goals, yet I've accomplished a lot. I have $100 million business in my hometown. Come on, okay? And so they have good business day Thursday. They go home and they watch television with their fam. Sally's watching television with her family. That show is made for about $250,000 a week or something like this, and has some of her favorite faces and actors in it and things like this. And hooks her for the next episode. She's really excited to see the next episode after that, and remembers the previous episodes and everything. And then maybe Saturday, Sally goes to a movie theater. I don't know, watches a $400 million movie with Tom Cruise hanging out of the airplane, or who knows, right?
Right. Right.
And then Monday morning, Sally Broker goes to take broker education, and it's compliant, and it looks like it's being issued as punishment from the DMV. Do you think that $100 million business owner that's your neighbor, right? Do you think your
Yeah.
neighbor's going like, well, what does one have to do to have, the same level of media and whatnot? That, we're the largest trade organization. We generate a lot of money. It's a lot of opportunity and a lot of risk if people don't know what they're doing. And associations have passion and heart. It's a beautiful combination of things and the opportunity to give real education that helps these people, Marilyn. You triggered my passion. I'm about to sound like a nerd right now, yet it's true. We are that way. We are character driven on a mission to raise the level of all of this for these entrepreneurs. We feel that way about entrepreneurs generally, yet, like I said, the realtor, if you're getting it right for realtors, you're probably getting it right in North America.
But I think what I just heard you say, and I think you're right about this, is it's kind of like production quality. Like we're spoiled. We have amazing TV. We have 75,000 channels of whatever kind of content we want today. You've got YouTube, which has high quality stuff. You got TikTok. I don't know if that's always so high quality, but you got a lot of other places to find curated content, and you're used to that level of production. And if you get to something that's boring and slow, and yeah, just sounds like we're going to keep you out of jail, that's not going to cut it, and no one's going to care. That's the bottom line, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
yes, even the word
yeah,
compliant.
it's just like the boring.
Compliance is like saying, okay, the course has to have a timer. You do
Yeah,
realize that you haven't added any value yet, right? I mean, of course it has to have a timer, and of course it has to be compliant. And of course, it has to work for your state and your, federal. Of course it does, right? Yet, come on, let's give a little bit of service
No
here.
fun.
Are
Yeah, it's
they
no
are
fun.
they engaged? Are they enjoying themselves? Did you say anything in a
Exactly.
memorable manner? Did you present anything in a way they might repeat to another agent? Did you put legs under your messaging, with that? And there's so
Yeah.
much opportunity and they're so grateful. The difference is largely internal set of decision making in a way. You just point the ship in the correct direction. And once you do, I think a lot of our clients are surprised how much gratitude it generates, and they have,
Yeah.
I wish I'd done this earlier sequence that happens. Yet, we got here as quick as we could. When we arrived, we were really surprised at I'm going to say the relatively disrespectful state of education for these professionals from passionate organizations that were doing their best. It's not like they desire. It's not like they did not have passion and intelligence. They didn't have systems. They had wonky systems that didn't talk to each other. So technologically, Marilyn, as you know, tech-wise, we had to solve an awful lot. We had already won number one in the world as content creators for realtors from Training Magazine multiple times in a row while writing for a big real estate company, right? And
Okay.
so we thought we were the best writers in the world for real estate because we'd been told we were. And so we wrote
Mhm.
some beautiful content and we took it to these organizations and they desired it strongly and they had no place to put it, didn't know how to connect it, didn't know how to have it work for
Okay.
them. So that's how we ended up creating these tech systems so that there's a place for our library to grow and thrive and be nurtured over time. So we have the systems and it's turnkey. It's a full ecosystem.
Yeah, so I want you to talk more about when you say technology, because I do think that there's a lot of perception that either I have a local person that, has been around for a long time, any of the brokerages know them, or I take it and I outsource everything to a third party and I kind of wash my hands of it. And you're not that national thing. You're national in terms of scope of technology, but you're not that at all, right? So when you say technology, like specifically what do you mean? If I contract with Rialto, what am I going to get? Now let's use that scenario because I think a lot of them are where there's like one educator that's been around for a long time. They know the folks, they know the kind of content and topics that are needed in their local market, to your point, right? They're not all the
Right.
same. How do you take that person, department, whatever you want to call it, and how do you blend that with when you say technology, what do you mean? Like specifically, what do you get if you become part of Rialto?
All right, that's a beautiful question. Thank you. So,
Yeah.
once you understand a strategy and you go, here's what our membership would thrive on, what they need, what they love, what we could
Right?
deploy, you figure all that out, and
Right?
then you're going to need a place for it to live. The
Mhm.
training part is going to live on technology called an LMS. A lot of us know what that is, I believe, the learning
Yeah.
management system.
Right?
For Rialto, we use someone's learning management system. They win our
Mhm.
business year over year. They hadn't had any clients that did what we did with 500,000 people on platforms that were all localized. Excuse me. Excuse me. It's called Thinkific, and we like them very much. Yet we can work
Okay.
on any learning management system. That's just kind of one of our preferred vendors, and they
Gotcha.
dedicated
So if
an
someone
entire
has one, you can
development.
populate, if they already have
Right.
chosen another LMS, you can populate into there so they don't have to trade out the technology if they don't want to. But if they don't
Right.
have the technology, you can bring them a turnkey solution.
Well, and we have developed use of Thinkific and a few other technologies that really the deals that are available to people out in the field can't compete with the deals that we get at the enterprise level anyway. So they
Okay, got
usually
it.
do change over to our platform. Yet if they're committed to a platform, we help them where they are, just like we suggest they do to their own members. And
Okay,
then
gotcha.
later
So
on,
what's
maybe they
in this
move.
technology? Like explain what an LMS is to like the person that's
Well,
not
the
in.
LMS, so this education director and this association executive, they have a couple of large pieces of technology they have to deal with. One's called an AMS and one's called an LMS. And the
Right?
AMS is going to have all the legal data and M1 connection to the National Association and State Association and all this sort of thing. And it has to do all
Right.
that. And it can be
Right.
kind of a lockbox and a challenging piece of software for folks to get good at or to
And that's
get.
association management software is what AMS is,
Thank
right?
you. Yes. And then LMS is where classes can live with timers that, and in our systems, we've developed a big box full of APIs, apps, and proprietary technology that lays on top of all of that, Marilyn. And
Okay.
so reporting and data going back and forth and registration systems and reminders and everything are not only benefiting from localized automations for these folks, it's
Mhm.
also 100% customized. So they're in a highly customized and automated environment. And so we save them a lot of time. It's actually less labor to operate a large, comprehensive, and generous system with all five of our levels of delivery and everything. It's less
Okay.
labor to do that than it is to operate the old systems manually. It's actually less labor.
So, and you have the capability to enable a CE course if they so choose to do that. I mean, obviously, they're not all continuing ed courses, but for those that are, you have the way for them to do whatever their state requires for being on camera or any of those things.
Yeah, and that's usually where it starts is
Mhm.
they desire the ability to put either a certain thing online that is a CE or a requirement or a new
Mhm.
member orientation, perhaps, to make a really
Yep.
great first impression, bringing everybody in.
Hmm.
Then they progress to when do we get to say you can now renew your license on demand, virtually or in person with us, choose your system. They desire
Right.
to get to that level. And then they start to, now their thinking is all ignited and they start to do adventurous things unique to their market, featuring their best people and unique localized solutions. And we love producing things like that. And then very often we've identified, that, St. Paul might need a course in Hmong, Hmong. Florida would like a course in Portuguese. We're about to expand into Canada, so
Okay,
we're
different
getting good at
languages.
French. That's if they're using it, if these are real people making real investments with real
Yeah.
opportunity and risk for their families. We want to give them exactly the things they're talking about, working with every day, and we have the creativity and the media team and designers to do so. Uh,
And
and
you
we're
embed
passionate.
the quizzes or things like that too, if you so choose?
Yeah, yeah. Every state in America, right, and other countries, yet every state in America has some differences in their rules,
Hmm.
and we have been able to comply everywhere we're doing business. We're able to meet those rules and exceed those rules. We like those standards. Standards are
Okay.
good for our industry.
Yep.
Yet, yes, the rules vary quite a bit, Maryland, and yet there's another localization. We don't need to dumb everything down to the lowest common denominator. We're happy to work with any state's regulators to make the most of the systems that they're guiding. And at the state level, the three-way agreement, we work with all levels of the three-way agreement. We really like serving from the association and MLS level. We feel like that's where most definitely where we're having the most impact helping these entrepreneurs.
So you talk about the MLS side of the house too. So do you train on the technologies that the MLSs offer?
Everything that they need to do to get their member behavior improved and their members valuing the MLS, we're capable of all of that learning. We rebuilt the volunteer courses that were designed by the Council of MLSs.
Hmm.
We are also pleased to be helping the Alliance Network at Cotality, and we have some direct MLS clients. Unlock comes to mind in Texas, where I am at the moment.
Okay.
We're breaking ground on our new studio over here, so pardon me for having to be outdoors. I hope the birds haven't been too loud. But
No, we like the birds anyway. It's okay. Great. Okay, so it's really any type of educational content that an association or an MLS needs to deliver is within the purview. So another thing
And
we hear a
sometimes
lot.
even systems. Sorry to interrupt you. Yet
Oh,
sometimes
okay.
it's not even just education. Sometimes it's a system, a completion, a sequence of things.
Okay.
How do we identify what they're missing from the last time they took it and make good suggestions for what they can get from it this time so that they increase their value in iterations of things? And Events. Also on our platform, these clients are often hosting their board meetings and storing their minutes and their
Oh,
committee
nice.
meetings, event
Okay.
support, guest portals. There might be a small association near them that can't afford services like this and they desire to help them. So they roll out the
Oh,
red
that's great.
carpet and we'll customize them just like we did for the original client. We'll customize them a guest portal so that when they show up,
Okay.
it looks like their website and all their members go, ooh, hey, look at, it's little things like that that just make them happy to return and to click and to feel honored. And I think not I think, we know that we're bolstering respect for the entire industry. It should not have been
Mhm.
allowed to fall off like that. Bless them all. We got here as quick as we could. The education directors are passionate and well-intentioned. They were overwhelmed. The
A lot.
demands on them had outgrown their capabilities, and we showed up. COVID accelerated everybody's awareness of us in a huge way. And so we got 250,000 people on the platform in our first year coming after COVID like that.
Amazing.
And it's not their fault they don't know yet, Maryland. And so it's very interesting us educating them about what's possible. These smart, capable people who are really passionate and slightly overwhelmed in
Yes.
this weird suite of technology. It's not their fault that they don't know yet. So we're largely educating everybody, and you're helping me. I really appreciate it. They
Yeah.
need to know how much is possible when they do the right thing. They're going to get rewarded in multiple ways, and it was the right thing in the first place. Right. And so, we're getting the word out as quickly as we can. We'll have half of the North American realtor market benefiting from our programs in one way or another within about a year, I believe.
That's amazing. So one
Thank
of
you.
the other things we see a lot when we talk to association and MLS customers is that education tends to be more engaged, or there's more of the sort of newer, maybe less productive agents that engage in it. And once someone gets, they've been there for 10, 15 years, they,
Right.
have a solid business, sometimes a super strong business. They basically tell us two things. One is they don't think they need education, and that even if they do, the education doesn't talk to them. It's not for them. It's for newer, younger, less, not even younger, younger in the industry type of folks. So are you seeing people that are saying, we're going to create a suite of things? So sort of the 101, 202, 303 level of classes. So the folks that have been at it for a while still can benefit from amazing education?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great way to exercise our belief about being specific for what the audience needs, right?
Mm-hmm.
If they've been in business for 10 years, they have specific needs. If they've been in business for 30 years, they have specific needs.
Right.
And like you said, obviously, if they've been in business for 1 year, they have some very obvious and specific needs. Yet, when we go down this path of being specific and generous, my team has to put up with me saying silly things like, "We are specifists. We are not generalists."
Okay.
We
Well,
we
that
we
that
really
makes
only
sense.
work we really only work in specifics. So an example of what you just said to me that you're making me think of, Marilyn, is that there used to be significant training requests 5 years or more ago around getting part-time agents to become full-time agents.
Hmm.
And it most definitely there's a large segment of the population that needs exactly that. Most definitely.
Yep. Hmm.
There are other portions of the population, though, that have specific needs. And once we embrace how easy it is in a digital environment where you have capabilities with a concierge partner like us,
Hmm.
right? How easy it is to be specific. So I'll use Los Angeles for an example. It's a really
Hmm.
good job combination for a realtor in Los Angeles is actor, rideshare driver, realtor,
Right.
right? If you
Right.
think about it, the
Many of
Venn
them are those
overlap of
things.
those three
Yes.
careers is pretty great.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I got to get across town. I can't afford to do it for hours at a time with no money or anything. How do I do that? Well, if I could get paid to drive across town and it's by a showing, et cetera, right? And
Yeah.
let's be
That's
open
fun.
to that. They have a large population of people that suits, and those people often make good realtors. realtors. They're good at presenting. They like to be looked at, like I do. And so, relations. And yes, learning tracks. Once you recognize that you have a population like that, yes, smart
Mhm.
designers can absolutely put them on a learning track that allows them, we understand levels, we understand the
Mhm.
differences that where the breaking points of those levels are in the categories you were just describing is a great example. And yeah, you can absolutely be
Right,
generous to those people. And you probably have champions in your midst as an organization that should be leveraged as part of that. They are local champions that did great things, and we're addressing your legacy and building respect for what we're all doing in our market, and
yep,
helping families. It's so easy to lose sight of the fact that these are people who have a vision as an individual knight. They went into the field to go into battle for this vision, right? And their
right.
family is watching, and their children are dependent on it for their shoes and their braces and the whole thing. And
Wow.
and what they're doing is helping families be in homes. And it's the largest transaction that they can win or lose with in most of their lives. It's just so incredible that we would do anything as demeaning as go take the same compliance you took before. It doesn't bend
Okay,
to your
gotcha.
situation. It doesn't advance your situation. It's okay. We fell off the horse. Yeah, we are now back on the horse, Marilyn, and we will
I
win.
love it. So here's another thing that we see a lot is so associations and MLSs have a clear identification of who their agents are. In some markets, those are called brokers, right? Managing brokers, broker owners, appraisers. They have a good sense of who those are. Those are paid subscribers. They're front and center. They have their email address, all of that, right? But there's many people within brokerages, um, and even within teams, right? There's a lot of obviously the teams are not going anywhere. They're getting bigger and more exciting and more powerful every day. So some of
Right.
the folks on teams and some of the people like the admin in an office or the manager in an office may not necessarily be an active practitioner, yet they directly influence the productivity and success of their individual agents in their office, right? And the IT person makes sure that their technology is on and things like that. And so do you work with some associations and MLSs that recognize those as sort of agent influencers, if you will, and also provide education for them so that they can do a better job?
Yeah, I'm so glad you asked about them. Let's go ahead and throw commercial agents in there too, right? These are
Mhm.
people that often do not get the attention that they deserve because they're such important connective tissue out in our markets and in our communities, our professional communities. And you're absolutely right. So yeah, Rialto most definitely can adds training. We created all sorts of training for those various roles.
Right.
Here's a great example of how easy it used to be for people to miss the forest for the trees until passionate nerds like us showed up with all these education strategies at the association level. Is there was a massive need for a course that said, welcome to real estate. Here's what all those words mean and what the few most important parts are.
Right?
And
Yeah.
everybody thought it was just the dumbest content ever. It took a little while to get traction in the field, yet the minute it did, you got gratitude from IT hires, admins, office manager, both in the associations and out in the field with the teams and the brokers, because they were Googling what is a 1031, when
Exactly.
which batch of documents is that called, and what's the difference between buyer and seller agent? Show me an MLS listing. I'm not sure I'm doing it right, and so yeah, some of the needs that live in those roles for sure. Those roles are incredibly important. We don't get there, as you know all too well, Marilyn. The behavior profile, to speak the DISC language, behavior profile in the field for these realtors is largely ID. And so,
Right.
if it weren't for our admins, our IT people, and our C's and S's, we wouldn't be able to do a very good job growing our businesses. And then those S's, that's two-thirds of the people in the public. So we have to be good psychologists and attentive listeners and whatnot as well. There's a lot to train these realtors on to do a good job at this incredibly key role in our, are we the most important thing going on in the economy many years? right? I mean, it's just
Yes, we are.
huge. It's just
Yeah,
huge, right?
I love that. Okay, so here's another challenge that I hear often. Um, so we built this great technology, or great, not technology, great education, and you can argue whether it's great or not, but just for argument's sake, right? I hear this all the time that we have a great suite of things, and we'll even get a question about, you should train me on blank. And blank has been in the curriculum for 2 years and nobody knows about it, right? Do you help
Right.
them with that very important piece of getting butts in seats, of getting the promotion, the finding the effective ways to promote and break through to get people to come and actually take advantage of the technology of the education?
Yes, we do. And we're really happy to do that. And very
Okay.
often that takes the form of us recommending and supporting such things for the talented people already on the staff that wish they could do that, yet they just
Right.
probably didn't have the wherewithal to do it all on their own. They have
Right.
important jobs that were already full, right?
Right.
And then
Exactly.
and we say, well, how about this? When your instructor gets to our digital studio, we'll capture some great images and we'll provide you some social posts to you and them and on our
Awesome.
social whatnot. And it'll say, hey, look who's in the studio working on this cool new class. You'll hear more about this soon. Here's one little quote from it. And then when the class is actually being released, often we'll do something as exciting as, say, a movie trailer, right? We are people with a
Oh,
good
fun.
sense of humor. Yeah, we're playful.
Right.
You know, we stay very focused. We're not doing comedy. Yeah, we don't mind some humor. And
Hmm.
so we had a beautiful course come out with a few of our flagship instructors, and we had a movie preview made 30 seconds long that resembled
Love it.
Guardians of the Galaxy,
Hmm.
who I don't want to give a dollar to, yet it kind of resembled them. It didn't use anything of theirs.
Right.
Yet, it was very fun. We say, in a world where brokers are fighting to learn what they need to know for tomorrow's
Dun, dun,
business,
dun.
champions emerge and da, da, da,
That's fun. I love
before we
that.
could never do it, but when the network formed and these people hold hands and it's Guardians of the Galaxy and things like
I
this.
love
And
that.
so,
That's so
so we,
cool.
we, you know, we do some energy like that. They
Yeah.
probably have systems, they put things in magazines and other publications. So we provide them, we have a great media team. And so we provide them pieces of media and whatnot. Uh, and I want to bring in here that we're almost entirely still human. We are an AI forward organization, yet we're
Hmm.
almost entirely still human, largely
Okay.
because AI helps us in a lot of our systems, and we're getting a lot of benefit from use of data and things like this. But in our
Hmm.
operations and our creation of content and whatnot, it is simply not nearly good enough yet. And so it doesn't have much of a place. We are still 100% human on the course, the production, the creation of it, who is featured, all the voices and faces. Uh,
Gotcha.
Admin systems, of course, every business needs to be doing that. And me and my fellow leaders in the company, we're in the last couple of weeks of our graduate training in AI. We take ongoing training together. We're actually at the McComb School of Business, a little nod to how we got
Okay.
here. At
Nice.
McComb School of Business, we're completing their AI for Leaders course and creating our capstone product right now, which is very fun. And so we're staying on the front edge of AI, Marilyn, yet
Hmm.
all of our content is still better when created by our humans. And so we're just going to stay really educated. We have a few AI things that we'll deploy during 2026. It probably won't show up in the courses, though. The big thing on the horizon is going to be adaptive learning, and we will be at the front of that conversation, bringing that together. Yet, adaptive learning probably won't be available to us for at the association MLS level due to the regulators. Rialto could do it within a couple of months,
What
yet
is
we're
adaptive learning?
developing.
Yeah, explain what that means. What's adaptive learning?
The future of education is going to go further in the same mission direction that Rialto is already going. It's
Okay.
going to get increasingly specific, generous, and respectful for the specific opportunities of the people in the areas, in the market, in the conditions that they're serving right then and there. So it's very likely that the regard for minutes and hours and repetition being regarded as the best way to be compliant it's possible that that is going to give way briskly here to, well, why aren't we identifying gaps in that individual's education and
Right, exactly.
suggesting to them even the correct quantities? So there'll be a middle ground here. Here's my prediction. Let's see how well I do. My prediction is that very soon we'll see a middle ground, which is a recommendation and classification system where an AI helper, and Rialto has some of these in development already,
Okay.
where an AI helper will say, looking at your results from your last 10 classes and this assessment we just did, we're
Mm-hmm.
going to recommend you take this class, and that class, in addition to other things you'd like to expand yourself with. So
I love
that'll
that.
happen very soon, right? Yet
Good.
what'll happen shortly after that is, well, those classes were 2 hours, 3 hours, and 1 hour, and that doesn't match what's best for your situation. So what we
Mm-hmm.
really need you to do is take 12 hours, that's 27% this, 34% that, whatever. And here we pulled the parts of that together for you that you needed the most. And
Mm-hmm.
you take this 120 question assessment twice a year. We'll continue to do for that. And we'll hone in on your gaps and bring you everything that you need in addition to the mandated things that everyone has to have that do more than just educate us, like the NAR courses and whatnot. They do more to educate us. They bring us together and give us commonality of experience and everything, which is very important. Yet that'll be where we're headed. We will have some traditional. You're going to go do this for 3 hours, get a certificate, and things like that. Yet we're going to have something smarter that's able to look at that person's behavior, situation, education experience, opportunities, goals, and say, here's what you need. And Marilyn, the idea that it'll be compliant, I think the phrase that I could best say right now is big duh. That's what we used to say as kids. Big
Right.
duh, it'll be compliant. Come on,
Good.
compliance is not a goal, it's a condition. And
Exactly. I love
yeah,
that. All right. So let's wrap this up. So let's
yeah,
you pick a company, doesn't matter to me, association, MLS, or if you've got one of each,
sure.
that's even better. Um, This is sounds super exciting. Sounds like it makes a lot of sense. Kind of leverages the local skills and understanding, brings a national platform, brings better production quality, brings all kinds of stuff that should make education more engaging, more interesting, and should stick better than it has, right?
Yeah.
Tell me an example. Where has someone done this, and what have they seen? What impact has it made? What results has it created? Let's talk about the bottom line. If I do all this, what do I
Yeah.
get out of it? What does my market get out of it?
Well, some great client examples of ours that we're extremely proud of. Here I
Mhm.
am in Texas. I'm talking to you from Austin today. And
Okay.
so in Texas, we have Austin Board of Realtors,
Okay.
absolute leaders and pioneers in multiple ways in bringing what their realtors need the most.
Mhm.
Metrotex in DFW is another example. Metrotex is absolutely in lockstep with us, has absolutely had, they executed one of the biggest and most powerful mergers ever, and
Mhm.
maybe the most largest merger ever. I'd have to check on that. Yet they did it simultaneously with multiplying the power of their education system with us and growing their instructor community. The amount of respect they're showing in their community is being met. Our day is filled with, as we're completing those launches with organizations like this. Also in Texas, Greater Fort Worth Association of Realtors, also
Mhm.
leading a merger also, right? These people are thriving and doing well in environments where other associations are talking about, yeah, we have the prediction for the number of realtors we'll lose over the next year. And we're like, who engaged you in that conversation? Why don't you serve them like crazy and grow? Come on.
And
It's not,
keep them.
it,
Exactly.
it,
So,
you
so
know,
how do you measure, or how do you recommend organizations measure this? Is it the number of people that participate? Is it sort of the exit poll satisfaction? Is it their overall perception that education is much more closely tied to my business success? Like how do you help them measure that the
Well, in
stuff
the
is working
ecos,
for
just
them?
like an ecosystem, Marilyn, the answer is a lot of things, right? Yet there are primary things like oxygen, water, nitrogen, whatever, right? And those
Mhm.
primary things are, let's begin with revenue, right? Associations that are outsourcing that education are very often giving away hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's not
Okay.
uncommon that they might be giving away 350, $450,000 or
Wow. Yeah,
something.
it's a lot. Okay.
While giving away that money, they're giving away maybe a dozen hours of engagement per
Hmm.
year per agent,
Wow.
right?
Okay.
So the
Yep.
amount of losses are really, really huge. And then when you plug those holes in the bucket, you can start measuring ROI. And it's not uncommon for our clients to get 3 to 500% ROI on our systems, depending on their own goals.
Nice. Okay.
Like, do they sell education? Do they sell certifications? Or are they just supporting the value of their membership? And will they measure ROI in retention and
Hmm.
increased membership, or, however they want to do it? Yet we love to talk about ROI. We're very practical about ROI,
Okay.
and we
Great.
often provide ROI in six figures and above. And, or, 300, 500% is a reasonable ROI target for us.
Uh-huh.
Now, on the other hand, sometimes they have other goals in mind about increasing levels of service for any number of reasons, including mergers and whatnot, increasing their base of service,
Hmm.
increasing portions of the population that they serve to have a better umbrella use of their charter and their mission. And so our ROI is measured in different ways, yet we're really proud of the way our clients have grown. You look at the top 10, you see our client names up there, and some of them went up there since they hired us, since they began working with us. While they're responsible for their growth, not me, I am
Right.
sure proud that I helped, and that the clients that have chosen us are sure thriving. We're very, very proud of that. Our world, Palm Beaches in Florida, amazing clients, Suncoast in Florida, Canopy,
Yep.
Kansas City Regional, St.
Yep.
Paul and Minnesota, Rhode Island State. These are amazing clients.
Yeah.
I
Lots of,
said, shut up.
lot of the best
Yeah, I'm
operators.
leaving too many out. Yeah,
Yeah.
and also we operate like an ecosystem. We're learning every day at Rialto, and all of these people we're talking about, and you included, I learn from all of you regularly.
Hmm.
We love staying at the front of education. Come on, everything you know how to do, you learned.
Yeah.
Let's go.
So do you help them also have, do you give them engagement metrics?
Yeah,
Um,
yes,
like
absolutely.
post education surveys so they can understand how well people appreciate
Yeah,
content?
Yeah, Marilyn, it's going to be
Okay.
things like enrollment metric. We look at KPIs for enrollment,
Mhm.
complete attendance, enrollment to attendance is a seesaw. You watch that grow.
Mhm.
Completions, um, retakes, numbers of surveys done, all the survey information, of course, in every survey,
Mhm.
member satisfaction surveys, external studies like the good one that you did with your organization in the fall. We definitely enjoyed using that information. We're
Mhm.
avid learners, and we're keeping the conversation going. Once everyone has a commitment that we're going to do what's best for everybody, and that we can tell how it returns on investment, so we
Yeah,
have full license to do what's right and grow these people and get paid for it. Once that happens, the world is our oyster.
I love it. Well, this is great stuff. Thank you so much. Thanks for being a titan of technology and letting the real estate industry of the 60 that you looked at benefit most, which is appropriate. Any final thoughts? So it sounds like if I'm an MLS or an association, they can reach out to Rialto and you can help them build a customized program that makes sense for them. Is there any final thoughts you want to leave with the audience today? And then we'll let you get back to making great education for all of us.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, Rialto is expanding and growing, and so these courses that we've developed in multiple languages and for segments of the population, including board volunteers.
Hmm.
There are items that we've created that associations that are not prepared to think about a big leap to a greatly improved education system, they can
Yeah.
still get some benefits from us. And
Okay.
we also give away a fair amount of consultation, because, we're nurturing the industry to see the best way forward. And so I would encourage everybody who has this passion in their heart and can see the vision of how it can happen within their organization, use
Hmm.
one of our products. When we first started, that's how we had to start, Marilyn. We showed
Yeah.
up, people read us the Vendor Riot Act, and we said, gosh, you've met some people, huh? Let us do one thing for you, and then we'll ask you how you like us. And so we would do one thing for them, and they'd say, oh, okay, now we get it. Tell us more. Okay. And so I would encourage everybody to experience it. If you hadn't seen how Rialto does things, you probably just don't know, and that's not your fault. Come on over. We'll help you for free. Hire us now, hire us later, or just help us complete the mission. That'll all be fine. Come on in. The water's warm. Come on in.
Love it. All right. Well, thank you so much. Thanks for building this out, and I look forward to seeing where you go from here. Maybe we'll circle back in a few months and see what your latest fun stuff is that you're launching.
Gonna be an exciting year. Thanks for what you do as well, Marilyn. We appreciate what you do for the industry as well.
Thank you. Yeah, we try to make everybody better as well. So we're aligned on that.
Yes, you
All
do.
right. Well, thank you so much, and more to come.